Welcome to our lovely future humans, our IHP community, the 5D collective. Those who know what's something you only understood after going through pain. And I'm going to be a bit sarcastic. Journal prompts, mindset practices on PayHip for those of you who have a steady self-image. So pain, it's not about the pain, it's about the nervous system sovereignty capacity. However, that begins with, do you know self-regulation skills? And I'm going to open with this. As Bessel van der Kolk points out, those who dysregulate, so our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters, they don't know the difference. And that's why we're going to begin something new when I start these episodes. Self-leaders, we don't copy. Epistemic, lazy people, we actively notice them and they are irritating. And I'm still working with my irritable butthole because they're also full of affective realism, which means that their very strong emotions and moods and everything that comes from their childhood unresolved is what they're projecting. So the neuroplasticity, they use only the dark sides, the imagination stuff, but it's not just imagination. They actively are embodying a dysregulated body, so they're cut off from here. So they bring us their chaos because, see, for us, the 5D collective, stability is home. It's here. For them, as Stephen Porges points out, it's very frightening, and these are words that I want you to understand because, see, here's the thing. I'm in the middle. Walk like an Egyptian. No two trees are alike. So the nervous system is basic. But the human beings are all with their own human being journey. And so when God made us, I'm also of God, even though I get rejected by ignorant groups of people. But I'm okay with that because, again, I'm really trying to be polite when I'm around. And I'm 4'9". Technically, my body knows how to be at ease, but it doesn't freeze. In fact, actually, I'm going to pause before I start telling you all these different stories instead of staying on track with our episode, which is your vibe matters. There's a man out there who's going to give you a course on manifestation who begins and goes through a whole 3 minutes of how it doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. And I laugh when I hear those words from grown-ups because I use them too, but I'm trying to say good means you're regulating your nervous system. I almost reacted, and then I remembered what a grown-up is supposed to be, an example for children to learn from. And I do have a motivating agent. It's called Maria's 3-year-old is always in the lead, and she doesn't believe anyone should have children anymore, like no one, until they've mastered their nervous system sovereignty. Look at how extreme I want it all my way. I did it my way, and now the time has come. And so long story short, since I've been a kid, I was like working with this nervous system. Okay, so what's something you only understood after going through pain? Well, birthing process is very much a pain. So people who are epistemically lazy, they also lead with affective realism. They don't heal themselves. 3D, 4D continues, in fact, and I'm gonna break it down to the best of my ability because I have a lot of amazing information. No two bodies are alike, but our embodied brain does do the same things, even if they want to make up stories about I'm from the future as well. I'm a future human. I'm a galactic being. I know about this lovely plane, and as a person who's grounded in reality, you heard about it, right? Neuroplasticity, where's the dark sides and the underdeveloped minds, they reinforce not only harmful patterns, inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, also going to subreddit groups and saying, how do I escape reality without drugs and alcohol, which just makes them more hypocritical than anything. So they're judging the older folk who drink and do drugs. And in the meantime, I'm like, I wouldn't be judging them. I'm not judging you, but there's therapists, right? Oh, I forgot. 4D thinks AI could replace a good therapist because they have a bad experience with one of the God complex, narcissist, unhealed therapists. I see them out there, by the way, don't worry. Like I see the other group, the shamans who say don't go to therapy. I'm in the middle, which is why I'm not liked by either or, but I actually don't like to be involved in that which is dysregulated habits, because they're all from Diego's family, Ice Age, toxicity. So they have this supporting of validation loops with their effective realism, their stories, which are delusional. Then they bring us chaos, by the way, not to me personally. I just self-regulate, differentiate. I express to those human beings, I have them in my life, I'm not going to put up with this, meaning, sorry, I love you, hang out with you, yes. I don't know what this group is that you're hanging out with, but I'm not going to be involved because it's not fun. They know me now, all my friends. I'm the serious one. I was serious at 4. I told boys, nope, we're not going around with your car. You're dangerous. You're going to sit down. I'll reach you. They sent me home crying. That's how it works. And I didn't change. I'm 46. And when someone says, if you are born round, you'll die round, because that's an Italian expression, and someone who's enlightening says, well, you can work with the edges, and then the ignorant ones say, no, you can't. That's the moment of, I wanted to interact, and I'm like, let me leave it alone. I have the person's number. We can have enlightening conversations separately. But wow, the masses, they're sure as fuck boring as hell. And inside their bodies, their frequency is not doing great. So when someone says that energy, because they're equating it to physics, doesn't care if you're good or bad, even Santa Claus cares. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been good or bad. So you better be good, for goodness sake. So today we like to express that which is called good grown-ups and good children. Children learn from the grown-ups. Self-regulate. So what's something you only understood after going through pain? Well, I understood how, thanks to attachment trauma education, my nervous system regulation capacity and emotional resilience at the age of 3, where you can't spank me in my body, and I corrected the biological father of mine. So these are stories to help you understand what a differentiated 3-year-old says. And then, I went to make my suitcase. FYI, that means I stood up for myself and I didn't collapse and submit to the human being who feeds me, still feeds me. And my twin did what? She went to hug her and said, Mommy, I will never leave you, which shows you what? Temperament and personality patterns, and that's why no 2 trees are alike, and in fact no 2 embodied brains will respond the same way to that which is the interaction with the human being that you're around. In fact, Gabor Mate even informs us that parents will have a different interaction with each child, and I am Grumpy Bear. My twin is Sunshine Bear. As I stare people down like this. Now, I don't think I do it anymore, but I don't know, because I'm actually not able to look at myself. It's not about me. Hold on, we're going to get to the vibe. So when this man and a bunch of more 3D, 4D, and women, all of them, come in with spiritual bypassing and somatic bypassing stories, I am learning how to let you all know. They don't know how to be themselves. Their fake self is still trying to make mommy and daddy proud, but they have trauma charges that are not healed, and they're playing it out on Wheelhouse. So when they bring us chaos to our earth, he's got the whole world in his hands. Yes, exactly. So, when someone wants to think they can own a word because they're from ancient history and they actually have books that are building up dust that they hide from us. And do you know what children who respect themselves do when a grown-up lies to them, manipulates, and hides shit? Yeah, it's not even about authority. I don't care where you come from. You're either going to be an epistemically curious, disciplined, and diligent human being, and then you're a true leader to those of us who are embodied self-leaders, or you're going to be for the group who likes to put you on pedestals and then ask, where did the evil people go? Well, no, there's no evil in that way. I mean, Michael Stone, forensic criminologist scale, sure, they're manipulating grandiose. A person who's smart sees right through that shit. It's called shit for a reason. It's hilarious when you meet ego in a way that it's so rigid and blind that you're like, wow, seriously, there's a lot of fucked up people out there. I'm sorry. We're all normal. Nobody's fucked up. I'm sorry. Let me correct my verbiage again. Some people know self-awareness, accountability, regulation. They take themselves seriously, not the words necessarily, because I fuck up the words. Oh, a lot. But you better bet that if I'm in the presence of a weak one, and sorry, God, I know I'm calming down. If I'm in the presence of someone who collapses under pressure, well, look, I got a sheep going on in here. Oh, my facade friend. You want to hear about my facade friend? He taught me how to handle weak ones. So did my teenage boyfriend, and so did a bunch more people. And I'm not smiling because I think it's hilarious that they're weak. This is my way of distancing myself from people who I love to death, who won't ever be. They're whole self because they chose to not go to therapy. And like I did my best to share with my 4D friend, look, not telling you what to do in your life. You do what you want. Just telling you why I said 7 to 10 years and you reacted with projection. I didn't say that part. I'm telling you because you had the grandiose narcissist God complex therapist, which is where I'm looking to the community of therapists to get the ones who are unhealed. Very clearly, I don't know, do something, because I might be considered the charlatan because I'm a mystic and spiritual one, and by the other group, oh, it was hilarious. A friend of mine, she made the joke, selling the soul to the devil. I was like, hey, I don't. Please, I already know there's a bunch of people out there because I bring it all in that think that I'm letting bad JoJo and Juju in. So this is the part of where a 5D collective spiritual mystic one isn't going to be using fairy tales. It sounds like Wendy and Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. So when we have a relationship with Akash Source Anima Mundi the real way, meaning it's not a dress up, we don't have pedestals. We respect our parents. I got taught by good Christian Catholic catechists. So we respect our ancestors. Why? We want, yes, all of us want justice. You know how justice is obtained? By modeling epistemic curiosity, discipline, and diligence, which a bunch of people, including my 4D friend who got reactive in my face and is telling me that the experts I learned from don't know shit. He's not the only one. I found it hard to believe that my first years of life. That's another idiot. And you better bet that anytime someone's telling me my experts don't know shit, I'm like, one, they're not mine. Remember that. They know how to handle themselves so amazing. You really want to copy them. So yes, those are leaders. And I thank you, Peter Levine. You're calming me down right now. So with God, he just actually makes it really clear. Okay, Maria. This is a side joke for my regulars. There's an episode. We might have it shared at some point. In the meantime, stability is home for the emotionally intelligent person, whether you're mystic or not. And when we spot those who follow around the epistemic lazy asses and they dysregulate, we don't follow them because they're all going to Ursula's cauldron to become seaweed. Stagnating energy is very boring and it's very daunting to the intelligent mind. Which is why I have to say, when I am around the emotionally immature validating loop individuals, I'm just like, well, it's only an hour, so I can go and then use the rest of my time to hang out with you all and also continue learning and then remind myself that it's not nice to be a bit of a judgmental asshole. So I don't appreciate emotionally immature conversations, so I'm trying to let you all know they're uninteresting. Daunting to the brain is because they're not saying anything of value. In fact, they're saying all the old shit because, and I'll read to you in case you didn't tune into the other episode, that which is epistemic laziness and affective realism. So you can understand your vibe and regulation and thinking capacity, they all matter. Now, they matter for what you will live in this lifetime. No two bodies are alike. God gives you everything that not more than what you can handle. So the ancient stories, they're fixating on one story and they say it's because God doesn't need science. And I think, wow, I found out that a Christian Catholic Belgian priest is the reason why we know about the Big Bang Theory. Should I go tell the ignorant human being who accepts from the people who are leading? I'm just sad. I'm really sad about it because my good Christian Catholic catechists are why I know respecting your elders. You don't put anyone or anything on a pedestal. You forgive. Jesus walked the walk and talked the talk. He actually told us how to forgive. And lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel explains it really well. So you pass a charge. I'm still forgiving the teenagers that I met, by the way. I identified the charge. So we don't do child healing, adolescent healing. That's done with the therapist. Once you're transformed, now you do personal growth, which are the people who are going to use the journal prompts and mindset practices from PayHip the right way. Because other than that, you got a bunch of groupies who prefer, so where did the evil people go? Having channelers and downloaders. Hey, can you tell me what the future looks like? And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know they were going to stick around, but there's a bunch of faces I see that I thought wanted to do good in the world. What I see is they're doing entertainment. They're spreading rumors, and they're continuing to have a good group and a bad group. So I don't see them being effective in leaving the children with here, a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of data, okay? You don't have to trust me because I go to school. I learn with the smart ones. And when the bullshit mouths come out of the bullshit human beings who get older, but they get dumber, I don't listen to them, but I also don't shame them. Because I want to respect people. They have a choice. It's called free will to maintain their dumb asses and continue to follow a bunch of other people who give them a good team and a bad team or notice themselves. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Bezel, you're right. I hope your book enlightens people. So when Bezel is talking and being interviewed, he's like, people don't know how to notice if they're dysregulating because they don't have self-regulation. The person like, but it seems like people are trying to make us get over emotions sooner than later. And I'm like, wow, there's a whiner. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Life, it's hard, really. That, that saying doesn't really help your brain nor your nervous system. That's how it works when you actually think the 2 hands, 2 feet, shoo shoo, go go. But like I said, no 2 bodies are the same. So with that being said, I am aware. I just don't think that we need to be talking to everybody as if they have lack of nervous system regulation skills. I'm talking to the ones who do, the ones who are the 5D collective, which is why we're future humans, because apparently we fake it. We're fake positive and bypassers. All the words in the book. Oh, you better bet. Well, what? Why are you I'm not supporting anyone. I'm actually being able to be clear of mind, clear of heart, clear of body, and I can understand subjective reality, both from the objective truths that are out there, which if you hand over to epistemically lazy assholes, they will say that they're opinions. And you think, no, Neil deGrasse mentioned science, not a belief, facts. So no, I don't believe in evil, because evil is proven to be nothing more than dysregulated human beings who bring chaos to our planet. I'm trying to help the planet, the entire planet, not just one. And so I talk to people who like to, no, you know what? Does anybody know what the amygdala is? Yeah, that's amazing. So it's not the words that are gonna, whatever I'm speaking, it doesn't even have to make sense. What I know calls to show yourself, I'm dying to meet you. Show yourself, right? But not in the way of groupies. Every frequency will call to itself those who are the same frequency. So if you are a person who has your higher self in the lead with your ego, you're going to be back because you're tired of the bullshit like I am. And then you laugh like I do. Not because we're the same. No, we may have completely opposing and different political, all of it. We just have nervous systems that are like, we have more capacity. What the fuck is going on here? You get older like Gargamel and you seem like a 16-year-old who's being a douchebag, and you definitely aren't cool anymore. Like, please stop. You weren't cool. Well, you're cool for a little bit. Just tiny bit of time. I fell for it too. Believe me, it's not fun. But you don't do. I'm a piece of shit. You do. It's okay. Everyone is allowed some mistakes. Well, just one. I didn't listen to my gut. So when you have a self-regulating good gut and you're taught self-respect and you're a differentiated 3-year-old, you're like, yeah, I did it my way. And now the time has come to continue working with the pokety pokes. And so with that, let me read to you while you still are here. So what's something you only understood after going through pain? And then we'll continue with the vibration thing. Vibration. What's that song? What's that song? No. Every now and then I start channeling songs. It's really fun. So you understand your nervous system regulation capacity and emotional resilience. Those who are dysregulated, they will be able to do this once they are transformed by a good therapist. And that's EMDR, child parts work, somatics. Now, if they don't take it seriously and they decide to allow themselves to stay in the midway, you can't make mediocre people choose to bring in their A game, because it's hard to feel. So it's hard to think, and that's why we have epistemic laziness. As the unsteady self-image means they're consistently scanning themselves and others, neuroception. So it's not motivation and mindset, which is why you'll find in subreddit groups, people say, how to escape reality, but not drugs or alcohol. You don't want to escape it. You want to get a reality check and go work with that window of tolerance with someone for however long it takes before you can say, I want to do the rest of my life. Now I just accept that I want to be a whiny teenage version of myself. And you say, okay, fine, go hang out with the stagnating ones who seem to think life is fun. You have it's like an elastic rubber band. I mean, really, it's so you have to put up with it. You choose. It's your mind, not mine. At a certain point, you're going to have to be the one. So that's where it's free will, but there is determined on the foundation. And that's why when you see cosmic karmic balancing take place, and you know God is always overseeing his children, even though he might not intervene, Akash source, all the different stories, they say the same thing. Love always wins. You get to choose. And the love thing is about equanimity. And it is about you being all of it. Those who don't even know how it works, they haven't gotten over the hump. We're not here to be love. We're here to be lightning. Lightning. That other song. Yeah, you can be all of it, you fake badass. You don't know shit about your body yet because you didn't do shit. So that's how it feels when you're seeing those who don't expand their window of tolerance since you're a kid. And just letting you know, it's really, really irritating. But now that I know scientists are all over the place with the good information, and I meet the young ones. Oh my God, yesterday I hugged two of them. I have to share the story because they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to become police officers. Why? And they gave me their reasons, and I was like, yes. And so then I said, can I please hug you? Because I know now I know I have to ask permission. And they said yes. And so it was amazing. And that's why, yes, the old people, we go away. But hey, I'm not that old. I still have the adolescent essence, essential spark, social engagement, novelty, creative expression, because my 3-year-old, she's in the lead, and my teenager's learning how to leave alone the dumb ones and to be respectful of them, then to the best of my ability. I don't invite you to. You choose what you want to do. I ain't different than you. I got a 3-year-old. I want to do that. Doing the diet. In fact, the diet's doing great. That's why the person who said you sold your soul to the devil is like, you look like great, Maria. And I'm like, okay, please don't say that. And she laughed with me, and I'm like, yeah, no, you don't understand. There are people who I'm sure are telling their children, it's like, I'm not. I really am not. Please, please. I hope you find good therapists somewhere to help you one day, because it's seriously sad to see the dark sides of neuroplasticity and how underdeveloped minds reinforce harmful patterns, harmful stories. They want to keep using evil, and there's even neuroscientists who keep using it, which is why I'm trying to let you know the words mean shit to those who are intelligent. You know it's powerful? Embodied self-leadership is powerful. Brilliance is powerful. Energy, extreme? No. So anyways, and I'm thinking of another subreddit person who's like, I quit coffee, porn, all of it, every single bit of everything, because that's what happens when you get a piece of information and you're still a child, because teenagers are children. I remember being it. Oh, look, I found all the experts. And my mom was like, yeah, no, it's not like that simple. And you're like, yeah, no, I found them. And then as you get to your 18 years of age and 19 and 20, then thanks to college, because I met a bunch of different people and traveling, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, okay. And then you embody intelligence as you get older, and you recognize at the right age that there's a number of smart experts and that there's a number of pop culture, everything online. So you don't go to the pop culture entertainment to learn shit. You actually pick up books. Just FYI, I'm getting there because this is where I see that it's either one or the other. It's unfortunate, but if you're learning from pop culture, you're going to be misinformed in ways that then have kids thinking they're doing great for themselves, which they are doing great. I'm not saying they're not, but any kind of extreme is a teenager attitude, because it means it's a black and white thinking. So you're just doing the easy way out of life. So that means you're overwhelmed by having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 options. But really, I'm going to say you're uninformed because you're not learning from those who, in fact, teenagers booed me for me asking about homework on a Friday evening. And then I saw a comedian who made a joke about it, but his joke was different. It was basically saying, that person who said, you didn't give us homework. I was like, well, at least I didn't say you didn't give us homework. I just asked if we were going to have homework, because he usually would have said it, the teacher. But some would say it's the same thing. So this is why I'm the annoying person to those who don't want to be responsible of their intellect. But then they want to say that I'm the dumb one who's naive, who actually thinks that let's make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race, that we won't succeed. Yeah, the only ones who think we can't succeed are the same ones who are set up for failure, FYI. So I know where the responsibility goes, but I will respect my ancestors, like I was told, and my parents and all that, and my grandparents. And so I know how to forgive, and then I know how to remember what ignorance is. I'm ignorant. I don't know what it's like to be in a dysregulated body. I do know what it's like to look at them, to continuously hear their effective realism, their epistemic laziness, their micro bad habits, and the excuses that they find for why they're going to grow old and get cranky and age, and all these gender stereotypes and just stories that it's like, you know what, you don't need to go to extreme moderation. So this other human being, I didn't even bother interacting with it, because I know where the younger generation is going to be brought to those extremes, and I'm trying to make the bigger difference with the grown-ups so that we can actively continue, thanks Neil, to be not only more connected to objective truths. That's why I'm in the middle. I'm a mystic, I'm spiritual, I'm mindful. I'm pseudoscience, I know who scientists are, but you better bet when I'm meeting academics who are in their assholes, I'm like, Well, we got a problem because you're off-putting completely to a higher self. I don't want to learn from you. You think you know everything. That's how it feels when people are weak. Excuse me, the 3-year-old doesn't have a strong sense of self. You can't spank me. It's my body. That's a 3-year-old. I'm just letting you all know I know where I come from. I know I still do it. And that's where the difference lies. There's not one day in my life that I've been unsure. When I do reading, it's because I like to read, not because I'm unsure, not because I'm scared. In fact, I am usually not scared except for panic attacks and physically life-threatening things. The panic attacks, yes. Okay, so I've shared a little about me, a little bit about that, the vibration. Let me keep your vibe matters, epistemic curiosity, emotional maturity. Let me keep answering and then sharing and then going. Okay, so thanks to expanding your window of tolerance to one of welcome, steadiness with ventral energy, and use stress become your go-to when activated. That was easy for me because, again, as an adolescent, I made the choice. And that's because I had a good foundation, though. I'm trying to help you understand. When someone tells me universe energy doesn't care if you're bad or good, that's bullshit. I saw cosmic karmic balancing take place. I also know God, but the point is not even that. From a human perspective, which is what I'm trying to bring to the spiritual and spirituality, giving you tangible. If you're dysregulated and you need a therapist, you want to go get whole. Once you're whole, you'll be able to differentiate, stand up for yourself, and not be charged, because you'll learn the appropriate functional adulthood, like Terry Real points out. And eventually, if you want, you can become a functional child adult because you'll be able to forgive what took place. That's a journey I don't know of. I'm just saying those who get there, when they do, they're going to say hello. Until that moment, we might be very uncomfortable to them, and that's because they will not like any of what is being said. Beginning with, we're not going to go punish those human beings called parents and our ancestors as if they were oppressing us on purpose and doing all the shit they do on purpose. We're going to understand we have steadiness inside. They don't. They don't believe in love because they never got it. Their body freaks the fuck out. So it's not a monster. It's a poor human being, which is why it's going to be, I feel sad for them. And I also am like, it's not even funny. You don't know how to say, I wish I could talk to them. But it doesn't matter if I do, because like with my facade friend, they don't listen to you. They're talking over you. That's the part of what a person who is dysregulated does. And while some people want to think that there's a choice for those who are dysregulated, there is not, until they get completely out of their false identity, out of their charges, all of it. So long story short, I understand the actual words, which is why nobody gets outgrown. I have plenty of friends and they can do whatever they want. They're following the law. Others continue to think like TV shows, it's bullshit, but whatever. I'm just going to leave that to that. We need more people that are in leadership positions, meaning academia, and also professionals who are equanimous and who are actively aware of effective realism and that which is called epistemic laziness, even though they might not use the words. But the point is, you have people in positions who fuel a story. And that's why when they're bringing their chaos, the dark sides of neuroplasticity, it's not just one. So they're divisive in ways that are with charges. That you can't make people believe in science. That's not even funny. They'll look at me and they'll say, you're bullshit, lady. And I'll be like, you know what? Sure I am. But at least I know shit about myself and my nervous system, and I don't lie. So authenticity, I love it. Debdena, you're amazing. As she points out, there's only one way you're going to say an authentic no. It's when you can say an authentic yes. And that means you do use your ventral vagal state, and I know all about it. Like I know when I get in, like, I don't know how to talk about something, and it will be because I don't know how to approach it from an emotional perspective to the person that is in front of me, because I'm not clear on if they can handle it, not handle it. And this is where it's not because I'm afraid to talk. No, I love to speak truths. People read into it in ways that are and so you're going to meet sensitive people over and over and over again in your life, which is why you don't really, to a relationship, easy, that's it. You don't communicate, you don't know how to handle that I'm a person, whatever. You know what, screw you, and that's it. And so this is where it doesn't get harder as you get older, and you don't stop caring about what people think as you get older. If you have a steady self-image, you never give a shit. Because it's like, dude, I ain't here to be you. You be you, I be me. What do you want? And that's how it works since you're a teenager. If you have a steady self and you never change that modality, what you do is you self-regulate and learn how to handle the ones who don't understand it, and then to leave it alone when you're like, wow, I didn't mean it that way. But again, you can't take ownership for a person's weak sense of self, unstable, who chooses not to go to therapy and to continue inner critic, outer critic, talking over you like my facade friend, and actively thinking you're too serious and being a pain in the ass. While it's, no, not really, but go ahead and stagnate in your weak energy and continue doing what you do best, which is pretend that your life is going amazing. And that's why this is me distancing myself again. It's irritating to see people you love throw their life away, simply put, not because they don't have the means to go to therapy, because they don't want to, because they don't think they need it, because they think that they're living life just like the TV shows show. And there you go. So I'm the dumbass. I think epistemically lazy people really need to take a look at themselves and start learning how to keep learning, or to leave it alone and at least be authentic enough with oneself to say, you know what, I prefer ignorance and I prefer living a life that is mediocre, because that's easy for me. And there you go. So it's, how does my irritation, judgment block me from being of service to support? I use a lot of your time to share also how I feel about this. Thanks for listening. So, ground in reality, people, as Sam Harris points out, our cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. As Neil deGrasse points out, science isn't about belief. And when someone doesn't believe in neuroscience because it explains how an embodied brain works and there's no demon inside of it, well, they can continue using their words. Lack of education for evil is what I say. And they also lack the capacity to notice your words do matter somewhat. So let's start letting people know evil, what? The Michael Stone forensic criminologist scale. You know who falls for the shit? The same ones who put on pedestals people who are definitely pathological. It's clear a mile away. And if you have any way to support any of it, it's like, okay, you don't know what the word pathological means to the actual extent. Nobody's choosing to bring forth the dark sides of neuroplasticity because the foundation has a steady self-image. It has an unsteady self-image, and it allows itself to create excuses for why it's okay to have the maladaptive patterns of behavior, and there's your Diego family. So it's not an evil monster and no conspiracy. It's actively a bunch of people don't know how to say a real no or a real yes because they don't even have their 0-8-year-old in the forefront. They got a delusional teenager in the forefront that they support, and then what do they do? Fuel each other's fires. So when you got the like-minded people, you got a bunch of people who are charged. They're what's something you only understood after going through pain? I saw some of the answers in there. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're all in it for the pain is what grows you. No, pressure, pain, that's not what grows you. Do you have self-regulation skills? That grows you. Dysregulation, you ain't growing until you learn self-regulation. I mean, we'll meet your fake self, obviously. Not you, but that's where if someone is wanting to tune in until the end. My facade friend, he's doing awesome. Yes, as he uses distress and as he grows apathetic and all of the other stuff that happens when you're eating bad, you're drinking bad, your nervous system never got a shot at doing what it does best, which is regenerate you with eustress and help you navigate life. So it's pretty common sense for anyone who knows. And I get, again, passionate, but it's not the pain, it's you moving from activation and charged emotions to steadiness. And repeating the choice of anchoring in ventral energy every time you're activated or reactive. And this is where as you get older and you're doing it, yes, twin flames come into the mix, but really everybody has a different story. It could be your job. It could be your house. It could be just you. Like, life is full of unexpecteds and unknowns. So the capacity for you to get more curious is just every day. I have yet to meet a challenger, meaning someone who's like, oh my God, I just got overwhelmed in my nervous system. The panic attacks were the most annoying. Yeah, that's for sure. But the vibration, let me remind myself to conclude with something on that, because we did talk a little bit about, again, neuroplasticity reinforces what you repeat, but also I want to touch upon the frequency. So vibration shapes manifestation, and low frequency works too, but with consequences. And I'll bring in the cosmic karmic balancing. So over time, for those who have nervous system regulation skills and you're growing emotional intelligence and resilience, the good kind, mental clarity, mental lightness, it's easy to think, it's easy to feel. You don't have to give up coffee. You don't have to, I don't do any of the porn stuff because really that's something for another note. But really addictions in general are very much an indication of self-soothing in a way that isn't going to be helpful. And so it's something that's detrimental to you. You can't give it up. You keep using it, and it's a crutch. I would smoke cigarettes. Now I smoke cigars every now and then, but the cigarettes were my go-to because they became part of my routine, not the nicotine. And it's actually the inhaling, even though I know it's a contradiction, but I know the entire explanation. But when I quit from one day to the next, it was like I never smoked. However, if I picked up a cigarette again, because I'm a creature of habit, and it was for so many years that I used it a certain way, I know that I would fall within those same habits because we're creatures of habit, which is why the diet does me good. And that's why moderation. And then you making promises to yourself, but keeping them. So health, like Hippocrates points out, wise man, meaning wise human being, will know it. And that's where I'm trying to share. It's not about the external, like someone who is smart will know. First, you get self-regulated. Now that you do it, you continue to choose curiosity over the charge. And so you feel more deeply because you're regulating. That's who uses the journal prompts and mindset practices effectively. You don't look for groups to validate your charge. You look for groups that are honest and authentic, like this group of IHP community. And that is, again, why I know it's not the words I use, it's the continuation of the timber, the talking, the capacity for you to be within your own nervous system as well. And because you're aware, like, yeah, I don't need to get charged when a lady or a man or a they is talking. They're just talking. That's the part of why words have no power. When you don't need to reparent, you're not thinking, no, you're not feeling like someone is going to cancel what you are, because your image is not all of the opinions you have, or you use your name. And so spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, they use objectification of themselves. Like my friend, the one that, if you tune into yesterday's episode, you'll hear, as he's telling me, you know, Maria, we're not like numbers. You're explaining it like we're all the same. Because I was talking about the nervous system has these many responses, this many da-da. And he's like, and I know my friend's reactive because of his experience with the bad therapist. So I know he's in his affective realism. What is affective realism? When your internal emotions, moods, or bodily sensations affect, shape how you perceive the external world, causing you to treat your feelings as objective facts. So if you don't notice that you're charged, and then you don't remember, oh, I had those experiences, I'm just pissing my pants right now because the past is coming up. Okay, I can pause myself. I don't need to bring it into the dialogue and, have it affect my subjective opinion as he's speaking words of the experts you're learning from. It's only your perspective. And I'm like, no, these have data. They have data. The only reason when I do this conversation, in this case with my friend, is because he is very strong-minded in a way of speaking his words to others. And so I wasn't thinking only of him. I was thinking of all the people he knows who also have bad therapists, but who need to know there's good therapists. And that some people need that much time, because he was reactive to the time it takes to heal effectively for a person with, for example, dissociative identity disorder. So it wasn't for my friend or changing his mind. It was, I need to plant not a seed, but an outlook that separates this generalized way that he's talking about it. And so that's where people will think the planting of a seed. If you have a steady self, you're smart enough to know how to go and get epistemically curious. So you go and check things. It's not like one human being is talking about shit and you believe it and you immediately, no. But this is where, again, you got a bunch of people who talk to you about the same concepts. And then they're excluding scientists. They're saying we don't have a group of people who are helping people. Yes, we do. They're called good therapists. So when you meet a life coach or a shaman or whoever it is, but they're not the good therapists, that's what I was trying to tell him, because this is the other thing he does, this friend of mine. He continues to support those who are not part of a group of people who get completely and consistently looked into by those rules, but also their colleagues, the ones who take the courses, they care. the good colleagues again. And I say good because there are the ones, okay, so distortion, someone going into a unhealed therapist who has biases and charges is going to fuel a distortion, which is what I'm also seeing. So we have not an issue with manipulation and lies in a way of the forces of evil. No, we have a bunch of people who lack self-empowerment. So they don't have self-leadership. They don't have a steady self-image. Their effective realism takes over, like my friend, and then they begin speaking shit out of their mouth with their bad experiences. So while for me, getting ridiculed, getting talked about as something, it doesn't matter which group. It's the point is that there's smart people out there, and we need people to be able to breathe and do something similar, not again for the human being needing to change a mind, but that human being talks to other human beings and so on and so forth. And it's important as we continue to move forward for anyone, even if it's just one person who chooses to heal their DID, because that is where DID, it's dangerous for the person. They have memory barriers. Why would you not help the group of people who have had it the worst in their life? You see, this is, and you reject love because you think home. No, you feel chaos is home. You actively will choose, because there's a desert, to poke a bear that's not doing anything. So you get a neutral, you poke it, and you keep testing it, and you test it, and you test it. That's what people that are in unsafe bodies do to people who are healthy. And so whenever a person who is empowered gets that's why you don't get tested by a masculine. It's not a gender. The people who actually have energy vampires, dark auras, there is none of that. Every time I would be hearing some kind of reading, I'm like, who you're insulting the entire human species and my loved ones. Stop insulting people who need help, and they're not vampires. They don't know how to self-regulate, so they need help to learn, but yeah, they need to choose it. Ron Siegel. When we're talking about acceptance is very important to talk about the difference between accepting experience as it is arising in our own body and endorsing a certain kind of behavior. Okay, so, and then he has another quote where he's like, we know a lot about people, but there's not like a perfect science to it. And that is why, to my friend, I was trying to say, I'm not saying we're numbers, but don't you call us software and hardware? So you're saying the hardware is broken and the software is this, because he brings in these examples. I'm saying that you're an embodied brain, that if it's integrated, this is how it works. And if it's not, and there's fragmented states of self, that there's a requirement and a need. And now I'm sharing it with you all. But the point is, I was given the explanation. As I'm giving an explanation, I'm getting, this is bullshit, instead of be quiet, you didn't learn it, go learn it. Stop saying bullshit, the knee-jerk reaction, the lack of self-awareness of you're having a knee-jerk reaction to an explanation. Why should I bother? I bothered in that case because it's important, because of the trickle out. And so here's where, thanks Sadhguru, good intentions are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce the necessary results. The necessary result in that moment was simply to say 7 to 10 works for some people because X, Y, Z, D, E, F, G, and that's with good therapists. Not the ones who you have met with God complex who need help themselves. And that's unfortunate, because really, when people get the bad one of anything, then they go and exaggerate it and generalize it. And so with cosmic karmic balancing, and the part about, as we close on out, with people who, and so that was, I read to effective realism, epistemic curiosity. So when it's lacking, it means that people have a low intrinsic drive to seek new knowledge, explore in the ideas, or resolve gaps in understanding. It represents a lack of desire to learn for the sake of learning, often leading to disinterest in abstract concepts, limited intellectual exploration, and a preference for knowledge, existing knowledge, over new information. It's bullshit. The fact that you don't even notice it makes me say bullshit. Just check yourself, please. Pause and notice, because that's become objective. But again, that is from the person. If they don't care to learn new things, if they get rigid and don't care to notice, I'm getting rigid. Why? You're not going to do anything by trying to point it out. And I also want you to understand that I get passionate because of all these people out there who are completely... Every time, whether it's because you're a mystic spiritual and your experiences are bullshit, Maria, or the science is bullshit. And it's like, okay, wow, really? So it's more from that. And looking forward to those of you who are stable inside to understand they bring chaos to the world. We're going to fix it as we always have been doing, because that's our species. As we're on a planet. I mean, the reality is there's not a necessary objective. There's not a winner or a loser. There's not a good team, a bad team. Those who need superheroes and supervillains need to feel special. That means they're unmotivated to be themselves from the ordinary place of you're human. Don't you want to help people? I want to help people. I'm doing it right now by saying, yes, I have effective realism and charges, but I'm aware of them and I won't have it taint my mouth to the point of where I'm thinking I'm the only right one. No, but I do know when I meet a person who got treated like a little piece of shit because, well, they continue to do what is obvious. Neuroplasticity is the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize its structure, functions, and connections in response to learning, experience, or injury. It allows neurons, nerve cells to form new pathways or strengthen, weaken existing ones based on activity. This continuous process means the brain is adaptable rather than fixed, facilitating recovery from trauma, habit information, and learning new skills. And so there's key aspects: lifelong adaptability, rewiring mechanisms, structural and functional changes, neutral process, and examples of neuroplasticity: learning and memory, recovery from injury, sensory changes. How to enhance neuroplasticity: aerobic exercises, lifelong learning, mental stimulation, mindfulness, and behavior changes. So when they use these words, those are the charge adaptive child behavior changes, which are losers, meaning the emotionally immature people who validate themselves and their charges, and then they continue to allow that same behavior to take place. But you don't feel changed when you're expanding with a steady self, which is why it's working with personality patterns, temperament. You're a securely attached person. And so you don't bring chaos to someone. Okay, so give me one moment. There's another actual man. His name is Steve Cole, PhD researcher, professor, and human genome expert. And it's a quote taken from his presentation at the 2025 PVI, Polyvagal Institute, I believe, International Gathering. As he points out, your experiences today will influence the molecular composition of your body for the next 2 to 3 months of your life. As Dan Martell points out, don't allow mediocre people to affect you, meaning they're dangerous, because every day you build habits, every 24 hours. But as Robert Sapolsky also points out with his book Determined, which I haven't read yet, you have a foundation. And it's the first 2-3 years of your life, which is why you want to get embodied, integrated brain from your first 2 years of life. I found it hard to believe that the first years of life, that's a person who doesn't know what they're saying. And that is a person who, in fact, like it is textbook, the ones who refuse therapy are the same ones who did not get parented right. And that doesn't mean the parent is to blame. It's they didn't get a third attunement, repairing rupture, some shit went down, their unsteady self-image had them enmeshing with people by the time they were 11, choosing their next allo parenting crew, and now going down a path that can be recovered, but only if the person, like Patrick Tian, luckily for him, by the time he's 20, he gets to therapy. And that's because of a friend who gave him a note after a breakup. But that's the part of where, believe me, you will be able to tell people about their bad relationships, and then they will defend that, which is those people who are treating them like little pieces of shit. And so with that cosmic karmic balancing, when it takes place, as I was saying, your frequency does matter, because it's not that you're going to be punished. The whole story of what happens after people die, some people are really into stories of punishing, which, by the way, our 14-month-old, we all have it. And the amygdala, remember I mentioned it? So we all have, and the regulars know the story already and the science and the data. So if you're new, you don't, but I'm going to allow myself to skip it and just say the amygdala will always be alerted to that which needs its assistance, but also that which it likes and doesn't like. And the 14-month-old will play nice with that which it likes, and with those that it doesn't like, indifferent or neutral. Okay, so when people are stubborn, as an infant will be, because they're not bilaterally integrated, so they're using emotional stuff, even though they'd say they're not. Just imagine a kid, but a kid doesn't have, it's not spoiled. It's an embodied brain. It's a nervous system. It's seeking and emotional, it needs to co-regulate, self-regulate. So those who don't know, our core is that, okay? So third attunement, repairing ruptures. Anyways, those who have an underdeveloped right mode the first year of your life, studies show that they can actually heal even without the medication. It's with the good therapist and with the time it takes, because we're somatic empaths. And so when you have an anchored in ventral energy, you have a person who is unconditionally loving because they're compassionate, they differentiate, they are going to be able to allow themselves to be that person who will bring the person all the way through the journey. But the therapists, the good ones, are the ones who know all about neuroscience, neurobiology, which is important for memory barriers, which is why I keep on addressing it, because personal growth, spiritual growth, but I have people who come to me, and when I say, look, you just described clinical dissociation, we want therapy for that, they say, no, I want the Akashic record reading, I want the tarot, I want the Reiki, I want you. I'm not saying you won't have me. And the therapists that I've learned from said it's okay that they want you, you can be the safe vessel. I'm like, okay, fine, but I need you. So I always say, okay, I can be there, but we're going to have someone work with us. And as we conclude, this cosmic karmic balancing that takes place, besides me already knowing God is never going to abandon his children. So from all of the angles of Maria's spiritual, mystic, embodied world, I can tell you I never once thought, oh yeah, go be bad. And I don't think of what happens when you die, because I'm embodied mystic. Okay, so besides when I was growing up with God, I already knew about the whole heaven and hell thing. Now as I got to learn about the sphere of energy, past lives, future lives, timelines, it's very clear in my mind. And then with science, I can also say none of this is true, because science can say this is all in your mind, Maria. And those who say, that's a contradiction, are the ones who don't know Consilium's approach or how to use an integrated brain. And they apparently, no, they use information as identifiers. It's not identifying me. These are subjective pieces of information that are coming in here. They don't identify anything. It's words. It's, again, so when someone says you don't believe or you believe, I laugh, because I'm like, this sounds ridiculous. I have information and I have books and I have experience. What are you talking about? Doesn't make me who I am. I'm Maria. I have a name. What's the point? There is no point. I'm just chit-chatting. Abstract concept. Can you have a good time? So long story short, the part about when you see it happening and you know what's going on, you don't think, I'm so happy that I'm getting sweet revenge. Revenge is a word that means only that which people will feel when they feel wronged in ways that they feel they want it to. You never get that thing of whatever it is people feel. I don't have revenge. I can be irritated. There's no revenge. It's not an emotion I know. I know it as explained, but I've never been wronged in my life to the point of where I think I need. So that's where wholeness is all I can say, because there's no person who could make me feel like I'm supposed to take some type of revenge. That you don't feel unfulfilled. Yeah. So no one's taking anything away from you. You're being gifted the opportunity to stand and be the person you want to be. And in my case, very easy again. People are people, understanding that they are dysregulated when they're in their bad habits and all that. I'm not there to school them, teach them, or make them behave better, because you can't. And so when you do understand how the cosmos with God works and Akash source, or dark matter, dark energy, I'm just going to say life's purpose, it's not a dilemma. It's actually people having nervous system, not sovereignty, that creates an issue, because they don't know how to self-regulate. And so we talked about that one. When it comes to life, your stability is where you're going to find the home and the meaning and the motivation. And I can't do that for you. And when it comes to the chicken or the egg, there is no answer. And if you can't handle that, that's why people go to the 4D collective for answers of what happens to evil people. Why are they here? And then there are those who tell you consciousness doesn't give a shit about you if you're good or bad. See, look at all the bad out there. And I'm like, no, low frequency, it comes with a cost. And FYI, it's all maladaptive, poor human beings who don't know what the fuck's going on, and they continue to be manipulated and lied to, and then charge at each other, and they equally are saddening to a human being who knows all they need to do is go take ownership of their brain with a good therapist. Then they'll own their mind. From that moment forth, they can make choices or say, I did, and then go hang out with your groupies. But at the very bare minimum, be objective, authentically aware that if you don't want to learn anymore, stop calling those who do learn stupid or serious or whatever with new information. And how about you just leave it alone? Or we have flat earthers, so we can recognize them as a group of people who decided to come together with their insecurities, and now they differentiate as a whole group and tell us how we're wrong. It's grounded in reality, people. They know cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. They also find objective truths good. They don't silence a community or another. And when it comes to the spiritual mystic stuff, if there's empowered scientists, they don't belittle and make fun of us. We don't put anything on a pedestal. Science and spirituality is all in there. It's all data. And so the ones who are true experts, they humble us and they expand us, and they don't judge anyone. The ones who are going to be arrogant about it, you leave it alone, because at the end of the day, you understand that they're still trying to prove themselves to someone, and they're actually disregarding subjective reality. They're disregarding that if they have never experienced a spiritual download or any of that, that they haven't had one. They also disregard the fact that they're disrespecting someone who has a background and experiences. So they're disregarding subjective feelings of a person, which makes them assholes. And that's what emotionally immature people do very easily, 3D, 4D. So you don't ever get an apology from a person who's an underdeveloped brain, who doesn't take good care of themselves, get themselves all the way to their wholeness, and then notice there's no sweet revenge. That's a bullshit feeling for people who don't know that some shit went down. Bringing your chaos into our planet doesn't make us think of monsters, because if there ever had been a monster, by the time I became a mystic, I would have met him. I didn't. And oh, look, the forces of what? I noticed one thing in common with the validating loop people, that their charges and their effective realism and their entire demeanor is what is, because they're not able to self-regulate. And they fuel each other's fire, and they fuel each other's story, and their imagination, their downloads, their chat, their all of it. It's not fake. They're going to continue building castles around it. And so the more you use dark sides of neuroplasticity, so yeah, we're going to have people that are going to isolate in their little group like flat earthers, not because they're expanding or growing or making a big difference long term on the planet. You know who's making it? I just recently subscribed to a podcast of this person who's bringing all the smart economists together. Those are people who are going to make it. The brilliant ones who are of different fields, who say, okay, let's get ready to rumble and roll, because we're going to affect the system, because we can, because we are aware. And it's not going to be called one group or another group in a way of charges. It's actively doing things that bring to the entire globe that which is what our species is made for. We are here to co-regulate. We already are always doing it. And so when you find objective truths, you can communicate them as effectively as you want. If a person is dysregulating and they're building upon a unfortunately chaotic nervous system that also has a story, and they're not noticing themselves, they're going to keep doing that. And that's why God is good. He gives all of his children a place to call home. So if they don't learn how to get out of that which is a small mind, epistemic laziness, bad habits, and whatnot, you will see as they flock to each other, because they will continue to do so. For the ones who are of our 5D collective, we don't outgrow anyone. We adapt, because emotionally mature, intelligent people know how to self-regulate, differentiate, because we understand that a person who got the shit end of the stick doesn't really know what they're doing. As long as they're not physically threatening, we know how to handle it. And then when it comes to the people who don't like that, we don't take sides. We do take sides. It's called humanity. They're weak. That one species that needs to be around their parents the longest, and they don't need a mom or a dad. They need a nervous system that's going to be regulating itself, and then knowing we're all going to make mistakes. A third, attunement, repairing ruptures, and that the infant already has implicit memory building. So there's a lot. And people who want to make it into a little box, that's the point of why be yourself. That's my box. It's you be you, I be me. And when cosmic karmic balancing hits, and you are with a good foundation of God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, you forgive, And then you know something's wrong, and it's not because of a demon. Something's off for you to actually find chaos comfortable and an unhealthy pattern of being treated like little piece of shit and then doing a bunch of other crap. It's not me and it's not you. Something's unfortunately sad, and I can't convince you to get what is your best interest in the forefront. That's just sad. So you just put your hand on your heart and you're like, well, it is what it is. Tomorrow's another day. Maybe we can talk some sense to some people who want to self-regulate and get themselves to a good therapist. And at the end of the day, luckily, we also have those who are here at our 60-minute mark, self-leaders who every day, your vibration, regulation, and thinking capacity matters. And so when you are vibing epistemic curiosity, emotional maturity, that's great. You're going to bring to the planet expansion, enlightening, advanced light workers, as I saw someone using. But it's not advanced. We're just people who are using what is called the flow state. We're blissed out because we're using eustress. So it's very basic once you know all of the components to being a person who's using the bright side of neuroplasticity. And that's why mystic, spiritual, or mindful, those who understand how amazing it is to be a human, will be back here and will not really be talking over me. And I'm also trying to get used to that, because I know that there are many aspects of the masculine, but only one of the feminine. And you will have harnessed the feminine, which is your body. And that means self-aware, accountable, regulating. I almost reacted, and then I remembered that sovereignty, integrity, and being yourself under pressure is a choice. So check out PayHip. That's where you find the journal prompts and the bundles. And here's where, for our ending, how has, if you want to write it down, my ability, because you are here, so I'm sure from uncertainty to steadiness over and over and over again, and you have learned how to have such a good time with yourself. It's still sad when we see people who won't get here, and also they become very much like donkeys. It's really fascinating. So how has my ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped me to stay true to myself, to help others, and to expand humanity? And the sad part is that behind every one of those who don't join us, there's a whole world waiting to be shared with us, but they have to be the ones who want to meet themselves. And that's the part of where I can't ever understand how frightening it is to get your emotional body back online. I do understand the responsibility that the good therapists have, and that's why I am going to keep on trying my best to say, look, not all spiritual mystics are charlatans. Our experiences are ours. You don't have to believe in them at all. The trending topics that are out there, I mean, that's for groupies, but therapists, the good ones, have all the information in case a timber sets someone off. This is the part, and the person needs to want to go and get those memory barriers taken care of and to work with these things and take seriously their brain, their amygdala, their hippocampus. Forgetting things is not something that is a good sign, and people will leave it alone for too much time. Others might exaggerate it depending on what they know or don't know. So again, that's why with my friend, the conversation I had, it's like I need to get through to him because he's beginning to get exaggerated with this way he talks about not needing therapy ever. Some people need it for real, and AI can't replace it because it doesn't have a body that is going to teach your body to self-regulate, because you can't co-regulate with something that you're writing. And if you're only doing it in dysregulation, that's the part of the wheelhouse and the dark sides of neuroplasticity. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. Please share, subscribe, let others know about PayHip, about YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, all the podcasts, Instagram, and we'll be back again with more. Have a good one.